Word on the StarCraft street has it that this series features loads of battlecruisers. It's been a little while since I've last seen battlecruisers in high-level StarCraft, so I'm hoping that it's going to be a bit of a banger. Now, of course, spawning right here in the bottom right-hand corner. Who do you think it's going to be? It's a high-level series. We're looking at none other than the winner of Home Story Cup's main command center. He goes by the name of GuMiho, the most creative Terran player at the highest level. And apparently, I don't know if it's going to be in this game or, I don't know, it's a best of 3 series. We'll have to find out. I'm excited, though, to find out exactly how he gets there. His opponent in the top left, one of Europe's finest with the blue Zerg drones. We're looking at none other than Reynor's main hatchery. Reynor going up against GuMiho. Now, we're starting off on King's Cove. This is a massive map. This map actually is... Oh? Why are we putting the barracks over here, good sir? This map is huge, so I'm thinking if we are going to see battlecruisers, it makes a lot of sense to bring them out on this map. The thing about this map is that you can take, well, obviously your main base very easily, your natural very easily, your third base really easily, your fourth base really easily, your fifth base. You can basically take about, I want to say a third of the map or so, on your side at least, relatively easily. You can expand forward after that point. The bases over here are not entirely out of reach. And usually I have noticed that the games on this map, they do tend to take quite a long time. There are some aggressive builds. We've seen, for example, Zerg players go for a lot of like late game lurker drops using the natural space over here. So they like build a bunch of lurkers, run them over here, load them into overlords, then drop them in the natural. And a similar move as well can be done over here from the bottom. We've seen a lot of attacks with lurkers as well through this choke point. But in general, there's not as many easy angles for Zerg players to attack into. So this is, by the way, just a barracks building over here. It's a little weird because now how are you going to make a reactor? Generally, you want to build a reactor so the factory can actually get a little attachment. We're going to go for a tech lab. Okay. We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the plan is here because this is a little out of whack. Command center, though, is building, of course, on the low ground. In the meantime, on the other side of the map, we should see a triple hatch opener, and that's exactly what Reynor is doing. Building a bunch of queens. Zerg players really have stabilized once more in their early game. There's a couple of small deviations that they have made at the highest level. Obviously, since the queen is now slightly more expensive, since the newest multiplayer balance patch, the whole game is just a little different. The timings of the hatcheries are also a little different, but overall, I mean, broadly speaking, it doesn't really look that much different. Across the board, I do say that Zerg's early game is a bit weaker than it used to be. Especially getting that final queen out is just a... I don't know, the timings of the queens are just a little bit more messy. A lot of Zerg players are doing this thing that Reynor is doing right now, where they open up entirely gasless. So he's only building a Vespian gas geyser right now. This is 3 minutes into the game. It means that you basically have to go into roaches or rely on like slow Zerglings. We have seen some players actually prioritize slow links, which feels really bad. Ah, that's why we've built the barracks right over here. I see. So the tech lab is going to immediately be switched out with a starport. I mean, this is not going to be for battlecruisers, is it? It's a little funky. Yeah, the timing just doesn't really make a lot of sense. For a battlecruiser, you also need to have a fusion core. So it's going to be very fast cloaked banshees. Curious. All right, well, the Reaper runs in. He's trying to get some vision. Gets the creep tumor. Lovely start right here for the Gumi God. It is going to be roaches indeed here for Reynor, who's looking to wall off the entire top section of this ramp. I always like this. Since Hellions and Reapers and those early game units from Terran are kind of terrible when it comes to killing, well, for example, rocks, anything really that has high HP, they're gonna struggle knocking down that wall. So it means that for the time being, Reynor should be able to just protect this section of the map. I always like it whenever we have a full wall off. And then later on, obviously, you can knock down the rocks yourself and have a new entrance into your base. It means that for the time being, Reynor should be able to just, well, stay alive with absolute minimum investment. Maybe that's also, though, why those banshees can be very effective. There's one already out. There's no vision at all for Reynor on this side of the map. There's a couple of these overlords, mostly in place to deal with, like, for example, a medevac drop or something along those lines. This should be quite defendable, though, but this is going to be very quick for Banshee cloaking. General timing, yeah, is about 440 for the Spore Crawler, 435, 440 or so, and it's not done yet. So this is a good, like, 20 seconds or so quicker on the cloaked Banshee. I kind of like it. I think on a map like this, like I said, it's massive. It's really difficult for Terran to die, but it's also really difficult for Terran to deal early game damage. GuMiho just fully speccing into essentially one cloaked banshee for the early game. We have a second banshee too. I don't really expect it to deal much more damage. Maybe when they're together, since it takes 2 shots to kill a drone. Maybe you can kind of get another couple kills that way, but no, I guess this is GuMiho just bargaining for whatever he can get. Okay. He's also done a full wall off here himself. The follow-up, by the way, is just good old Bio Terran. So, yeah, we have +1/+1. Oh, sorry, what? My queens are stuck? Bug? I can't move them? Oh, I saw a couple queens over here. Wait, they are... What? Sorry, I backed up like 10 seconds. Do they have like a... I don't know, like a / unstuck? Maybe a stepbrother? I can't move them? This is so weird. And then suddenly Brenda slips away. Very nice. Yeah. Normally they get stuck in washing machines or whatever, but it's unstuck now. Alright, fair enough. I got stuck on a gas geyser instead. That actually is a very strange bug. This map has been around for many, many years. Huh. Alright. Well, at least that would have been great for base defense, I suppose. That's really strange, though. I guess it's just like pixel perfect precision. Even when you try to recreate it, you're very unlikely to actually find the spot. But that is an interesting bug, not one that I've seen before. Alright, so this is the Banshees mostly just trying to maximize damage. It's difficult to really get more value out of them as time goes on, although I would like to see them sticking around for a while longer. And you know what? This is actually not bad. Keep it around. Oh. Yeah, I don't mind this at all. 10 workers in total. I mean, it's a flawless game so far for Gumi. Anyways, no Battlecruiser follow-up, though. This is just good old Bio Terran. 1-1, 5 barracks, wonderful build here. I actually really like this build here for GuMiho. It starts off looking very normal. Obviously, he didn't have a reactor, so he couldn't make that many Hellions. But he still made a round of Hellions anyways to make his opponent believe that everything is normal. Therefore, Reynor Spore Crawler was late because he was assuming this was a standard strat. It's an intelligent build right here from GuMiho. And now he's just following it up with something very conventional, but the timings are still very good. 1-1 just about to finish up. He knows that Zerg is going to struggle here until really, like... I mean, he should be able to get the roaches in position, but now, yeah, this wall off here is working against the Zerg. It was great to defend against, well, for example, 6 or even 8 Hellion openers. Obviously, that wasn't the case here at all. This is GuMiho not even playing the matchup. He's playing the matchup on the map. He knows what Zerg players like to do. It's the wall off. It's the timings. And GuMiho once more shows us why he is one of the very best. Very cool. I hope, by the way, that I picked the correct series. And before I'm hyping you up for Battlecruisers, like, obviously I don't pre-watch games before I cast them. That's super lame. So, yeah, I hope I hope that there's gonna be Battlecruisers. I don't know. If you really, yeah, it'd be a little embarrassing if I'm hyping you up and then, yeah, I don't wanna be that guy. Anyways, Hive coming up right now here for the Zerg. +2/+2 here coming up as well for GuMiho, who's securing a 4th command center at this point in time. Reynor did take quite a bit of damage here, but he's also kept most of his economy around, despite losing 15 drones. Not until really like 2-2 is done can we expect a big push here from the Terran player. Reynor actually going in with the contamination. Very nice. By the time that 2-2 is done, though, GuMiho should also be able to macro and max out. So that's quite good. Fungal? Do we have a fungal? We do have a fungal. We sure do. Nice corrosive balls here. Queens in the meantime transfusing whatever they can. There's one more siege tank in the back. But this is a really good attack actually though from Reynor. Nice defense. I think the couple of... I really like these actually. I think we should see this a little bit more frequently. Before you go up to a hive, spend a little bit of gas on 3 additional or maybe 2 additional infestors and just get those fungals out. We used to see this from Dark. If you've been watching StarCraft for some time, there used to be a period in time where Dark was getting every single time he put down an infestation pit, he would make 2 infestors. 2 to 3 infestors. And I thought it was really good. He stopped doing it. Obviously, it delays the hive just a tad. I guess you could get extra gas a little bit before that point too, but they always seem to have a lot of utility throughout the game. So this is still a normal follow-up though, so we're still going to go into the Lurker Den. We are going to go into the Hydra speed. +2/+2 here as well for the Zerg player. Creep threat is halted a little bit, but you can tell here that Reynor is a very fast player, quickly relaying down those creep tumors once more. Shouldn't be that big of an issue. Okay, so 2-2 is on the horizon. GuMiho is just about to max out. Same can be said though for Reynor. Reynor, by the way, with relatively low APM for his sake. Usually we see him sitting a little bit higher, but then again, he's been playing quite a bit of Protoss lately. No, sorry. Also a lot of Terran for what it's worth, but anyways, back to Zerg now. His APM is suffering a little bit. Could just have reduced, I guess, his repeat rates or something along those lines. I mean, it's going up now. We'll have to keep an eye out on the average actions per minute. It's starting to power up pretty fast now. Seems like we're spiking at about 10 buttons a second. Alrighty, Baneling Nest. Adrenal Glands. Ranged upgrade for Hydralisks. Burrow improvement for Lurkers. Mech upgrades here coming up as well for the Terran. Mostly useful for now, at least for siege tanks. Vikings are coming up. The command centers are building. Alright. Yeah, this is basically King's Cove in a nutshell. Despite having a really lovely early game here, GuMiho also knows he can't really do that much with it. Oh! I mean, this should be... I say that! There's 3 additional starports coming up together with a fusion core right now. This should be for Liberators, but you don't actually make 3 additional starports if you want to go Liberators at this stage in the game. Normally you go Ghost Academy and maybe a second starport after that to go for the Liberator ranged upgrade and go into the medevac energy improvement. This may actually be a late game Battlecruiser transition. I mean, GuMiho is maxed out for now, basically. Battlecruisers are real pricey. Yep, it's Tech Labs. Well, at least that one was a reactor for a second. The other 2 had Tech Labs on them. It is indeed starports with... Okay. So... it's essentially an early game 1-1-1 with a twist. Quick triple command center opener here by GuMiho with some funny aggression. A normal bio follow-up. And then rather than going into Ghosts, rather than going into Liberators, it looks to me like he wants to make a transition after losing these units into Battlecruisers. Which is not the norm. Not the norm whatsoever. Reynor's gonna scout, and obviously that's the problem when you make those things preemptively. But the thing is, if you're Reynor right now, okay, he sees it. This is a big scout. This should essentially just instantly be a Spire for him. Yep. Double Spire even. Okay. Thank you for making me look smart, Reynor. I appreciate that. He cannot really deal with this with any other anti-air. He needs Corruptors if it is going to be Battlecruisers. If you make them like this, right? So what GuMiho is doing here is he's setting up his structures for when he loses his maxed out state. He doesn't actually have Battlecruisers building yet. All he's doing is building... well, he's got 1 right now, but... all he's really doing right now is building command centers. 87 SCVs, by the way. GuMiho has more income here than the Zerg. Yeah, this is actually an exceptionally greedy game here from GuMiho. So Battlecruisers are 400 minerals, 300 gas. He's killing some of his own SCVs, by the way, to make room for additional BC production. Essentially, every Battlecruiser we see could have been an additional command center, too. And he's building an awful lot of command centers as well. It's time for the Roaches to be traded out. Completely pointless unit at this stage in the game, but also you can't really just throw them away. GuMiho, by the way, not opting to go for this base over here yet. Going for the one in the center, then the one forward. This is actually so greedy by Gumi. But what do you do here as Zerg? I don't really think Reynor can do much about it. I actually believe that GuMiho is playing this map brilliantly, though. Because if you were to try this on one of the smaller maps, it's just not going to happen. You're just going to get overwhelmed. But he seems to have covered all of his bases really nicely. Reynor sees where this game is headed. This is Reynor preparing for 20 minutes from now. This is actually a nutty base. I don't know if he's going to keep it up, But essentially what Reynor is looking at right now, he realizes, okay, this is an impossible turtle to crack. It's not going to happen. I will try to steal one of the bases that you are planning on taking like 15 minutes from now. Okay, maybe 10 minutes from now. He's giving up these units entirely. Doesn't need them anymore. Tactical nukes! Really? Tactical nukes are going to be the name of the game too. Sensor tower does cover the base over here. It's a little curious. I was going to say it does not cover the base, but apparently, I guess the bottom of the base is within the circle, and therefore the center gets a little exclamation point. That's a little funky. Anyways, I don't know if Reynor really is going to be able to keep it around for long, but Reynor is effectively trying to, I guess, steal some of the minerals that ordinarily would be for the Terran. It's just not a base that GuMiho is planning on taking for at least another little while. Yeah, so I actually really like this. You probably need a lot of static defense here, but then tactical nukes can break it. We have additional starports. This is 6 starport battlecruiser. 6 starport battlecruiser with Ghost. I don't know what to make of this. Battlecruisers are considered a good unit, but not a great unit. Well, this is the first time you see them. Reynor is in a weird spot where he needs supply. Like, he has all of the tools ready to deal with the majority of the Terran armies, but he doesn't really have something to easily kill battlecruisers with. He's got a handful of Hydras, but he needs to actually trade out some units here just to open up supply to make more stuff. 11 Corruptors right now on the production tab. He does kill 2 command centers in this area too. The Queens are going to town. We probably should teleport. That's too late, man. That was actually pretty bad, not gonna lie. He's just sailing by. Little drop over here, too. There are a couple sport crawlers set up. I actually like this a lot, though, from Reynor. I think Reynor is playing this very intelligently. Do we have a neural parasite? We don't have neural parasite available yet. Although an infestor, like a, what do you call it? A fungal growth will prevent tactical jumps. So I'm assuming, yeah, okay, I'm assuming that's the plan. BCs have already run away. So to clarify, the middle ability for the Infestor, it doesn't just slow units down, as we have a tactical nuke flying across. It also deals a little bit of damage, but maybe most importantly, it inhibits any movement ability in the game. So be it blink, be it tactical jump, be it whatever, you're not going to be able to use that when your units are fungal. So if you light it up well, you can land a fungal on a bunch of battlecruisers. Corruptors can swoop in and kill them all. But it's very delicate. Neural Parasite, also a great choice. GuMiho now, by the way, has given up on a lot of his SCVs. He's been destroying some of his own. Now that the command centers with the orbital commands on top of them are operational, he's slowly getting rid of his SCVs and replacing them with additional army supply. Reynor doesn't really have that luxury yet. But the longer the game goes on, we'll probably see more and more of the drones turn into spore crawlers and spine crawlers. So he too can basically dedicate more army supply. Well, here we go. Reynor is going to once more go in through this choke point. Normally not a great choice, but he realizes that there's about 0% chance he can just really let the Terran player mine. He also needs to keep the Terran player honest here. Yeah. This is indirectly also a lot of scouting here for Reynor. So he now sees, okay, I need to make more Corruptors. There is this awkward moment, since Reynor doesn't have a Greater Spire, that there's technically a possibility for GuMiho to quickly remax with a ground army. So say, for example, the Corruptors and the Battlecruisers fight, and Reynor still has like 20 Corruptors up in the air. There's that weird moment where sometimes Zerg has a lot of army and a lot of money, but they have a lot of useless units. You really don't want to be overproducing Corruptors. He's got 22 of them right now. That is a lot. This has me a little bit scared. When you don't have a Greater Spire, I wonder if you should maybe get one of them to upgrade to +3 and the other one to get a Greater Spire instead. Anyways, Reynor's base on the right side did get destroyed. The one that he tried to take from the Terran player proactively. Push in the middle of the map once more is going to deny another orbital command. Yeah, the Battlecruiser is sort of chilling, man. This is so much supply. GuMiho's maxed out here. Only 46 SCVs, but his army looks tiny. Like, this is basically that's it. Like, those two groups is basically it. There's a couple of siege tanks and stuff, like, sprinkled around the bases, but there's really not that much. He's adding on more BCs, and this really is the bottleneck for a mass battlecruiser army. They're just so incredibly supply expensive. It is so supply heavy. +3/+3 right now coming up for BCs. Same for the Zerg player. No greater spire for him. He is going 3/3 flyer upgrades too. We're not even 20 minutes into the game. Both players are researching 3/3 air. That's exceptionally early. Well, we have some nukes going down. I've got a feeling this is mostly just to be a nuisance. That one's not going to land. Drones go back to mining. BCs are once more ready to deny that base. No cancel. APM-wise, by the way, we have gone up. Oh, he sees it. So, fungal growth, infestors cannot use while burrowed. Neural parasite, they can. I know I've said it a few times in the past, but it might be time for a raven or two. Just one raven. Just as a detector. I'm a little afraid we're gonna see the entirety of this battlecruiser army get fungled or corrupted, right? Or both at the same time. Or alternatively, all of it can get neural too. The infestor is the main problem, and they're gonna be spending most of their time burrowed underground. They're hunting this down. In the mindset of the Terran, though, there's always a scan available. At this stage in the game, he's got so many orbitals. He's got 9 of them in total. He's lost quite a few, too. Oh, hold up. Let me back up for a second. Well, in the mindset of the Terran, he should have scans available for days. I was looking at this fight. He was looking at this fight. Where both of us should have been looking, though, is this engagement over here. He scans, but he moves in. He scans, but he moves in. This allows Reynor right now to use the tactical jump ability. He's gonna indeed make sure that it's wasted and therefore on cooldown. Tactical nuke in the meantime in the middle of the map, trying to be a nuisance as well. This is at the very least gonna deal a little bit of damage, but it's certainly not gonna make up for losing what? How many? 5 battlecruisers in total? That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Not a successful fight there for GuMiho at all. I can't believe he scanned, saw the infestors, and then still moved in. That's the level of stubbornness that I like to play StarCraft with, but generally not actually the advised play. The crossing your fingers and hoping your opponent is not looking at that fight right now is pretty rough. Now, of course, tactical jump is on cooldown because these units did use it defensively. Reynor spots them. Not enough Marines on the ground to really deflect this. Kills a bunch of BCs again. Decides to go home. 3-3 finishing up. Honestly, brilliant game here by Reynor, though. That's a lot of mules. That is a lot of mules. Jeez. Peaks and valleys is the income here, man. This is the skyline of Terran versus Zerg over here. Anyways, Reynor doesn't know about that base in the far bottom left. He really should go and have a look. I think he's gonna accidentally catch it. There's a good chance. He should look for it right now. Oh. Didn't he recently have a game where he was playing Terran where he lost because he didn't scout one of the hidden bases? That was a super painful match. If that is the case here once more, I mean, 2 Zerglings can kill like all of the economy here of Terran. In the meantime, though, BCs are going to town too. Corruptors are flying on over in that direction. They have now disappeared as they have gone to the far bottom left. Pretty much the opposite section of the map. Tactical nukes would be nice, but I think what we really need is just a whole lot of minerals. This is so crazy. This is when the mules are mining and when they aren't. It's getting more and more extreme now. So these mules obviously have a very limited amount of life. So I think it should skyrocket again in favor of Reynor here. Anyways, GuMiho did make a couple additional SCVs. Maybe about 10. Come on! Oh my god, Reynor! You gotta kill that base, dude! It's actually a necessity. This planetary is mispositioned. Reynor decides to give his opponent a little hand there. Just a bit of advice. Yeah, just reposition it a little closer to the mineral line. Oh my god, this base is free for the taking, but he has no idea. I think it's still fine, though. At this point, GuMiho's mass battlecruiser strategy is over. When he lost those 5 BCs up north for basically free, even though he had vision, he effectively lost the game in my book. I mean, obviously he still had a lot of money going at that point, but it all starts, well, skyrocketing down. The fact that he gets away with that orbital, though, or that planetary with all the mules here, it's kind of insane. This base is likely going to fall as well. Corruptors are heading on over in that direction, but I don't believe it'll be in time. The thing is, Reynor has still got a lot of money in the bank, and GuMiho does not. Reynor now transitioning towards full Hydroling Bane. Tactical nuke once more, going across the map. I mean, this is a cinematic game and a half. Here comes the Swarm. Constant tech transitions, not just from the Zerg. We're very used to seeing that, but also from the Terran player. As he's going broke, he's slowly transitioning back towards his good old faithful Marine Marauder Medevac Ghost. Another orbital command is going to fly on over. Caustic sprays are going to be activated on the Corruptors. That's what I pictured. They sound like. As they try to puke all over the command center. Jimmy pretending to be a Marine. Or maybe it's not Jimmy. Anyways. The BCs are still going around, man. These guys have been flying. I feel like these 3 Battlecruisers have been more effective than the dozen or so we saw earlier. Well, tactical jump is on cooldown now, so this will be the last of them. Yeah. Looks like we have a bunch of Marines over here. Lurkers just need to burrow, and they are gonna be dead. Absolute brutal move. Orbital command in the middle of the map gets denied once more. I kind of made a joke about the APM earlier, but 500 average actions per minute here by Reynor so far, and you can tell. Like, it's becoming difficult for me to keep track of the game, just observing everything, despite having perfect map vision. Reynor is incredibly fast and very accurate with his decision making. He obtains the victory in game number 1. Yeah, once upon a time in the history of StarCraft, Tier 3 units got nerfed. Tier 3 units across the board are not quite as good as they once used to be. So even though you kind of feel like Battlecruisers are, at least technically, the, well, greatest and best thing that Terran can make, they have a lot of asterisks right next to them, right? And you can see the same thing as well with, for example, Thors, a relatively mediocre unit, by no means great. You can see the same thing with Ultralisks, Brute Lords. I actually think it's for the best. It may sound a little silly that the most expensive units in the game are usually quite specialized, but I do think it's a lot more fun as like a niche mechanic. Usually mid-game is where we see most action. Mid-game units usually have the most, well, interaction amongst each other as well, so the more late-game units you have, generally the more passive the game becomes as well. I would say Lurkers, I guess, are a late-game unit, but they're kind of like a tier 2.5. If that makes any sense. Like, they're not great. As far as, I guess, yeah, Brute Lords and Ultras are really the real tier 3 units. Lurkers are a lot more commonly played at tier 3 because obviously they have high-tech upgrades. But it's a little funky. We have the same thing, of course, as well for Protoss. The Mama ship only really recently became a proper powerhouse unit. The Mothership historically has never been that amazing. I would say Carriers and Tempest are also... yeah, I mean, a little better, I would say, than the other tier 3 options for the other 2 races, but I would say that across the board, Carriers and Tempest are also not, yeah, that strong. Relatively easily countered at the bare minimum. Like, what makes Carriers and Tempest really strong is, for example, High Templar. Like, High Templar in combination with Skytools, amazing. Skytools all on its own? Yeah, not so much. Anyways, no Skytools in this particular game. What we do have is a good old double Rex opener. And I actually quite like this here from GuMiho. What we've been seeing a lot from Zerg players as of late is a gasless start. Now, this is not a gasless beginning. GuMiho scouts for it too. But if you go for the quick triple hatch, completely gasless, you won't have Zergling speed. And then, I guess if there's like a, maybe like even a 5 Reaper opener, you should be able to guarantee the kill on the 3rd hatch almost every single time. This is a build that has really fallen out of favor lately. But apparently, we're going to try and make it work once more. A lot of cool follow-ups you can do as well with the 2-1-1. One of the options is... the most common option is to go for just a Marine opener. So you go Stimpack, and then you follow it up with Medevacs. So you open up with a bunch of Reapers, usually 2 to 5 Reapers. 4 is actually a bit funky. Generally it's 3 or 5. Or 2. 4 is a... Anyways. I feel like the 4th Reaper does nothing. Maybe he's got something special here in mind, because I don't think that's a mistake. Are we gonna go Stimpack? I think we have to go Stimpack. 100 gas right now? Yeah. Alright. Yeah, Reapers can't use Stimpack. So this should be a follow-up into... We have a 3rd barracks as well as a 3rd CC. Huh. No factory yet. We actually have to keep an eye out on exactly what Reynor is facing here, because this is a bit weird. If I was Reynor looking at this, I would assume it's just going to be a normal follow-up with Stimpack and, well, just like 16 Marines, but sometimes this is the type of thing that gets followed with Banshees, even though it's technically a bit weird. Because it's weird, it used to catch Zerg players off guard. Now, they used to play against this quite a bit over the last year or two, so it's one of those things that's theoretically not amazing, but can sometimes work out. Reynor decides to follow this up with a Baneling Bust. Really? We're going full all-in? Really, Reynor? I actually think 4 Reapers is gonna be amazing against this. You gotta throw the grenades, and you gotta... Oh, no, you guys gotta go over here. You gotta stagger the grenades. Okay, never mind. We don't stagger the grenades at all. You can still use them for targeting, though. Yeah. The Marines are not very microable until you get that Stimpack upgrade done, but the Reapers actually did amazing. Reapers actually grenade themselves back up towards the high ground. A lot of Zerglings are streaming in, though, but this is a triple CC Terran, and effectively a complete all-in Zerg. Yeah, this is an easy hold. Easy peasy hold. Those 4 Reapers did amazing. Turns out 4 Reapers may be the perfect number to target fire down Banelings. Not an interaction we ever see. Well, not at least until just now, but it turns out to actually be very effective. Reynor trying to bring 2010 back. Pretty sure that's the year that he turned, like... I don't know. When was Reynor born? Like 2004 or something? I don't really know. These were strategies... 2002. These were strategies that were played commonly at the very beginning of Wings to Liberty. So that was a build order that we used to see back when Reynor was 8. I don't think he was playing StarCraft back then. Maybe he was, actually. I don't know. Anyhow, not a very good build order, but we've been seeing a bunch of stuff like that. Remember the Hero versus Serral series I recently casted? Spoiler alert, I guess. But Hero won game number 1 and then decided to do an 8-gate Stalker all-in. Like, an absolute garbage build in 2024. But... it still sort of did the trick. And we've been seeing the same thing from Bjorn as well, for example. After winning that first game against Rogue. Or maybe he did this in game number 1, actually. I don't recall exactly. But he's been going proxy barracks again. Building 3 proxy wrecks on the other side of the map. And then going for a bunker rush. Somehow, some way, we're going back to the origin. Like the origin of all strategy. Maybe the maps are no longer Steppes of War and Zelnaga Caverns, but apparently you can still sometimes make them work. Well, there was an attempt from Reynor. Maybe he had something in the oven or something, or pizza was being delivered, or whatever, but he wanted to get the series over with quickly. And evidently, it didn't work. So, Whispers of Gold it is. Can we see more Battlecruisers, Gumi? Not going for the double Rex opener this time around, by the way. I don't quite understand Reynor decided to go for a Baneling Bust, though, and decided to commit to it after spotting his opponent going for a double Rex opener. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Baneling Bust can work. At the highest level, it really shouldn't, but it can sometimes work. But that's like one of the very few openers in my mind where Terran has a lot of units. Like, he had a lot of stuff. He had a lot of things. So... there are build orders where Terran has like 3 Hellions at that point, right? Or maybe like they're going triple CC, but going quick Hellion Banshee, you just don't have that many troops, or the Hellions are caught on the other side of the map. This was one of the few builds where Terran actually is just building stuff and putting them behind the wall, so he was always going to have defense. The only thing missing from this little party trick of old school build orders that I would really like to see make a return is cannon rushes. I kind of miss professional cannon rushes. They're a lot of fun. It's just that usually the builds are not considered to be that great because all the top level players are extremely good at defense. Yeah, like GuMiho just showed us. Maybe you can make a Baling bus work on the ladder, but the higher you climb, the worse it's gonna be. Alright, triple CC, 1-1-1. Should be a tech lab here. This is by far the most conventional game that GuMiho has played so far. Nothing out of the ordinary whatsoever. Reynor also opening up very stock standard. This is a triple hatch opener with quick link speed, so not like what he did on King's Cove, where he was forced to go quick roaches because he delayed that gas geyser until like 3 minutes into the game. Now 3.5 minutes into the game, he's already almost finishing up link speed. This is timed in such a way that he's gonna have that link speed done by the time that any real Hellion production can get across the map. So this is timed so it finishes by the time that Hellion 3 and 4 are out. It's a good timing. It usually works. Queens and slow links should be able to keep you around, so if GuMiho rallies them straight across, he's not gonna be able to really deal that much damage. Roach Warren's still coming up though on the back of this. So maybe Reynor actually wants to go for a bit of a push. How much gas is he mining? Yeah, he still has 3 workers in gas. So this will likely still be an aggressive follow-up. We have a fake cloaking upgrade. Reynor is not going for an OV scout. GuMiho is anticipating an Overlord scout. He's got the Marine over there. He knows that the OV is hiding in the bottom right. He spotted it going over in that direction. So, yeah, he faked the banshee upgrade. Wait, what? He faked the banshee upgrade by getting the Raven upgrade going for a little while. Then after the banshee finishes, he goes Raven. I mean, he didn't get spotted, so it doesn't really matter. But it is kind of ironic to me to fake an upgrade of a unit, then to actually go for the unit, and then also go for the alternative option. Raven is not very common in this matchup at all. Very common, of course, in Terran versus Protoss. We see it a lot, especially against Blink Stalker builds. The funniest part about all of this, though, is that GuMiho is faking the fake for himself. Which is kind of beautiful, you know? Ultimately, we play video games for ourselves. And in these players' cases, also, you know, to make a living. But anyways, GuMiho enjoying himself by faking upgrades just for himself. That's beautiful. Stimpack once more on the back of this. 4 additional barracks. We're going into the good old 5. And 5 barracks is going to be all he really needs for the foreseeable future. Reynor building blind spore crawlers here. Just like what he did in game number 1. The banshee showed up earlier in that particular instance and got like 10 workers worth of damage at that point. Well, he lost like 4 initially and then a bunch more when the second banshee came in. So the Raven mostly here being used as a detector. So this is the creep clearing squad. Yeah, this is the janitor over here. You're one of the most expensive Terran units in the entire game. But you're mostly just here for clearing out the creep. And there's something beautiful in that too. Reynor going for, yeah, we finally figured it out. He's going for what seems to be an aggressive push here. He was mining a lot of additional gas, so all of this is coming a bit earlier than you would really expect. He is ready to bring the queens towards the other side of the map. They are no longer stuck like what we saw in game number 1. This is a Roach Ravager Queen all-in. Maybe a Link Flood on the back of it too. Glial Reconstitution, that's Roach Speed, is now completed. GuMiho doesn't really know exactly what he's playing against, but he should be... I don't know. This could actually do a lot of damage. This is a bit dangerous. There's the queens. They were mostly here in case it would be a banshee thing, but, you know, they can still soak up a lot of damage. Lynx have now snuck through the natural wall. Somehow, some way, the depots are down. And that means that the siege tank is in a bit of trouble. 19 SCVs have gone down thus far. Still enough high ground vision here because of that Overlord, so Corrosive Biles can actually make their way there. And this is turning out to be a very risky push here from Reynor, but it actually works out. Yeah. That's a sufficient amount of damage done. He should really go home. I don't think he can really follow this up with much more. He's already droning. I think that's the right play. Yeah. Double evolution chamber, of course, extremely late. That's the one advantage that GuMiho still has in this game. He just fired up 2-2, recognizing that Zerg is gonna back off. Maybe he can make something work, though, leaning into that advantage. Because he knows that economically speaking, this game is gonna be really tough. Army-wise, eco-wise, he just doesn't have enough. Oh, decides to donate a Raven. That is the last thing we need to be doing right now. Maybe he can take a good fight over here. I mean, these are 1-1 Marines against unupgraded roaches. Yeah, you can immediately tell that those roaches are just not as beefy. Man with gun, good. Okay. I wouldn't even mind it if GuMiho just stopped making SCVs and just tried to build a stupid amount of units. He's building SCVs again, but economically he's going to be so far behind. I mean, it's starting to catch up now that the mules are mining again, but it's still not an advantage that you can easily overcome. GuMiho instead playing like semi-macro, semi-attack mode, and it's just, I don't know, I don't really love it. Infestation pit coming up. The one thing I guess that is kind of rough here for Reynor is that he does not have baneling speed. Baneling speed is not likely to finish up anytime soon, but I mean, he's already got a Zergling backstab ready to go. Obviously, GuMiho doesn't have scans available. I mean, he can use one right now, but these mules are probably more important. He's trying to deny this, but this is now becoming a bit of a guessing game here for the Terran player from Korea. Forced to take place here that he probably wouldn't want to make. 2-2 coming up. Just about to finish. Baneling speed is a long ways behind. Reynor, though, has been spreading creep like a madman. So every time there's a scan to clear out a couple of those tumors, Brenda and Karen over here, they remember the good old days that the other queens were still there. They've been laying down the tumors once more. 1-1 about to finish here for Reynor. 2-2 though, just finished right here for GuMiho. I think this is his opportunity to strike. This is also exactly the moment though that the Zergling drop does arrive inside of the main base. Couple of links going around the site, and this is now forcing GuMiho to retreat. I don't think GuMiho can really afford retreat here. Okay, clean some of these units up. Reinforcements have dealt with the Zerglings, but in the meantime, this has bought enough time for the baneling speed upgrade to finish up, and I think that's going to make the base defense way easier. Reynor agrees as he decides to meet this army at the edge of creep. Beautiful game right here by Reynor. This is not over yet, but at this point, he's just outgrowing Terran. I like the safety Viper. I think the safety Viper is an excellent choice. If you can afford adrenal glands, that would be really good too. I mean, still a dangerous Terran army though, not to be underestimated. It's just not going to be teched up, right? It's just not going to have much more. There's no 4th command center. We do have barracks 6, 7, and 8 over here to continue down the Marine Marauder train. But in order for this to work for GuMiho, usually you already have to sort of be winning at this point in the game. This is very much so the driving it home approach. And this is not a situation where he's driving it home. Yeah, Viper is mostly very useful here to Blinding Cloud siege tanks. In a straight-up fight, those are really the only units that are a problem. At this point, there are no siege tanks. We have 9 Medevacs. Liberators coming up on the back of this, so I guess they'll be used maybe for a Blinding Cloud on Marines or to abduct those libs. Lingbane coming up. New spawning pool forced to be made as well. Reynor actually just incredibly safe. I was going to say, I don't think the spawning pool died, but he's already making a backup. In his mind, the only way he can lose this game is if he loses the spawning pool and can't produce links. I don't entirely disagree. No 4th command center. It's spotted right now here too by Reynor. So he recognizes here that he can get away with a round of drones. No need to be aggressive. Within about 5 minutes, Terran's gonna run out of juice. They won't have any minerals and gas anymore. Main base is gonna run low. Natural is running low already. 3rd base is coming not much behind it. So that means that GuMiho is gonna have to either expand or he's gonna have to step onto creep. And usually that second option is the one that Terrans will go for. So as long as Reynor can win the next major engagement, he should be fine. I like this passivity here from Reynor a lot. I think it's very intelligent. It's super easy to get over-eager at this phase in the game. To think, okay, I need to go and finish the match right now because I'm so far ahead. But that's usually also the moment where you can run into issues. GuMiho would much rather take a fight. Well, off creep if he can at all afford it. He can't possibly scan everywhere. Parabomb? Yep. 2 parabombs. Oh, perfect splitty right there by GuMiho. Although that's the AI doing its thing. It looks perfect anyways. Ultra Cavern. This is the one scenario where I don't absolutely hate Ultras. There is no ghosts, no real counter against the unit. Okay, GuMiho still has a massive army though. GuMiho's army supply, as a matter of fact, is bigger than that of the Zerg. He has +3 coming up. He just smashed his piggy bank and started up +3 armor too. I mean, this can still work for Gumi. Strategically, everything Reynor has done makes sense, but you do still have to win the fight. He doesn't have enough larva. I think if he had a couple more injects popping off right now, life would be easier. I wouldn't mind maybe seeing a macro hatchery or something along those lines. Reynor playing this super safe. Ultra Cavern is researching the chitinous plating upgrade. And the big chompers are gonna be out soon. Yeah, against this type of army, they're gonna be amazing. Yeah. GG. GuMiho decides to rip off the band-aid. He realizes that Reynor is not coming for him. As long as Reynor here is checking the potential 4th base options and any other expansions that GuMiho might be thinking about, he knows that by like minute, well, 15 or so, GuMiho just doesn't have any income anymore. When he has no income, he can't make army. When he can't make army, he would eventually lose the game. So no reason for Reynor to be aggressive. He obtains the victory in a very solid series. 2-1.